Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Press Box. I'm Timmy, and I'm here to answer the call. Happy Wednesday. It is Hump Day. Hump Day, guys. It is the middle of the week. Yesterday was a big day. Yesterday was a big day, guys. It was a big one. We have NFL trades that happened yesterday. Yesterday was that trade deadline, so there was a few trades, some head scratchers, some that I think can help the teams. We'll talk about that. Going over the fantasy football players I like, don't like. We're going to go over some of the college matchups this weekend. All that and more on Answer the Call podcast. It is Monday. It is time, or it's Wednesday. I'm sorry, I just said that. It is time for our first call. First call of the day is going to be the fantasy segment today. I know a lot of people like it, and I don't want to waste any time. And this is honestly something that was fresh. I just kind of came up with this list probably about 10 minutes ago. So, players I like. I like Tua at Los Angeles Rams. It's a pretty decent matchup. It's in LA, fair weather. Tua, the Dolphins, they like playing in those nice warm weather, and having a November game and it be in LA, fair weather. I like Tua here. It's a decent, favorable matchup. Rams just traded Tre'Davious White to the Baltimore Ravens. We can get into that in just a little bit, but I like Tua here on the road. I think this game could honestly be a shootout. I think both teams, both offenses could light up the scoreboard. I don't know. Guys, this has kind of the makings of I don't know, a 38-35, somewhere in that ballpark. Maybe a 35-31 game. So I look for a lot of offense on both from both teams. On the flip side, another quarterback that I like, same game, Matt Stafford. Same reason, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams. This has all the makings of a shootout for me. So I like Matt Stafford versus the Dolphins this week. I don't know. I don't usually try to go two quarterbacks. I try not to go quarterback on quarterbacks I like, but in this one, it's kind of hard to shy away from this because, like I said, this could be a shootout, and if that is the case, then we will see both QBs put up those points. Another quarterback I like Sam Darnold this week. Sam Darnold at Jacksonville, going from Minnesota down to Jacksonville, got some fair weather. The Jaguars have kind of been struggling. Sam Darnold, he's had his ups and downs. He's got TJ Hawkinson back. He's got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones. So I really like Sam Darnold versus the Jaguars. Now, for some players I don't like at the QB position, I don't like Bo Nix at Kansas City. It's nothing against Bo Nix. I like the guy. I think he's a great quarterback. He's still developing, but he's a rookie quarterback going into Arrowhead, going against Steve Spagnuolo's defense. Not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that, guys. So I want to stay away from Bo Nix this week, if at all possible. If you're in a situation where you have to start him, I'm sorry. Just not a good matchup. And he's had his ups and downs. And the Broncos have kind of relied more on the run game. They haven't really relied on him throwing. But last week he did catch a touchdown pass. So I mean, in PPR leagues that would be 7 points, 1 point for the catch, and it'd be a little bit more than 7 because he'd have the yardage. I can't remember how long the touchdown catch was, but he got at least 7 points last week off of the touchdown. So another QB I don't like. I don't like Derek Carr. Derek Carr in a favorable matchup versus Atlanta. New interim head coach. We don't know the style. We don't know how he's gonna play call and all that. I know Clint Kubiak does the play calling on offense, but we don't know the scheme that Darren Rizzi may want to implement. Also, who's he going to throw to? I don't know if Chris Olave's back yet. I haven't heard. He suffered a concussion last week. So, in this one, I don't really like Derek Carr. I know it's a favorable matchup, but I just don't care for him as much. So I'm staying away from Derek Carr versus Atlanta. I'm also going to stay away from Russell Wilson versus the Washington Commanders. I think in this game, Pittsburgh might try to keep Jaden Daniels off the field. I feel like maybe, Mike Tomlin says, hey, let's run the ball. Arthur Smith, let's run this ball. Let's keep the ball out of Jaden Daniels' hands to try to secure a win. So I don't like Russell Wilson here. And, Commanders did kind of make a trade to up their secondary. So I don't like Russell Wilson this week, guys. So I'm staying away from him. Most of us in the fantasy world, we're not relying on Russell Wilson anyway. If you are, I'm really sorry. You might have bigger issues than starting Russell Wilson this week if he's supposed to be your savior. But I'm not starting Russell Wilson. Now, running backs I like. Okay, here we go. Running back I like. We haven't had this name on the segment before. Tyrone Tracy Jr. versus Carolina in Germany. Hey guys, these Germany games, they can go one of two ways, blowout, or it could be a really close game. But I really like Tyrone Tracy here. I think the Giants are like, hey, let's run the ball. And it's a plus matchup. It's a real favorable matchup for Mr. Tracy Jr. And, versus Carolina, they're struggling. Don't have a lot of playmakers on either side of the ball. And this actually could be a game where the game gets away from them. From Carolina, the Giants get out to a lead. And, then they just rely on Tyrone Tracy to pick up the yard. So I like Tyrone Tracy versus Carolina in Germany. I like DeAndre Swift versus New England. New England tends to be a little bit better versus the run than versus the pass, but in this one, I like DeAndre Swift. Chicago's offense is really high powered, so they can't really just stack the box because Caleb Williams could throw to Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet. But I really look for the run game to get going. I also look for him to have some catches out of the backfield. So if you're in those PPR leagues, that's where. And I want you guys to know I do base this all off of PPR leagues. That is all I run is PPR. I don't use the traditional scoring or the standard scoring. Sorry, and also I should note on QBs for the QBs. I'm basing this off of 6 points touchdown versus the traditional 4. I don't think that a QB should be penalized 2 points for throwing a touchdown pass. So in my leagues, we always have switched it to 6. Some people, they leave it at 4. But either way, it doesn't change the QBs. I just wanted to kind of give you guys that little insight for that. All mine is PPR, and the QBs are 6-point touchdowns. So a running back I do like. I didn't like his teammate just a moment ago, but I like Alvin Kamara, however you pronounce it, versus Atlanta. New Orleans doesn't have a whole lot going on for him right now. They, interim head coach. But the one thing that this team has always had over the years is Kamara. He's been a solid, and in PPR leagues, he just lights up the scoreboard. So look for him to get going. This could be the only bright side the Saints have right now. So I like Alvin Kamara versus Atlanta. Running backs I don't like. I don't like Tony Pollard at the Chargers. Chargers run defense has been a lot better this year than in recent memory. Jim Harbaugh's kind of been, I want to win in the trenches on both sides of the ball, and it's showing. The Chargers have the number one like scoring defense in the league. They haven't allowed. I don't think they've allowed 20 points all season, or if they have, it's just one time. So I don't like Tony Pollard, and honestly, if I'm Jesse Minter, I'm stacking the box, and making Mason Rudolph or Will Levis, whoever's the starting quarterback, try and beat me over the top. Which Chargers do have an underrated secondary. They got Derwin James, they got Asante Samuel. So I just don't like Tony Pollard here, guys, and I'm staying away from him. I think I have already benched him in a couple of my leagues that I do have him in. So I'm staying away from him. Well, I didn't like the quarterback here. I don't like the running back here. I don't like Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams at Kansas City, Steve Spagnuolo defense. You know, and this could be a thing where they try to stack the box and say, "Hey, Bo Nix, why don't you go make a play over the top?" Because they still have a wonderful secondary. So, that Chiefs defense, it's pretty good. I tend to not like players, especially at Kansas City. You have the home crowd. You have Steve Spagnuolo defense. I'm not for it, guys. So I'm staying away from Javonte Williams. And my other my other running back I don't like is I don't like any of the Cowboys running backs this week, guys. I don't like any of them. I don't care if it's Deco Wendell, Wandell, whatever, Rico Suave, Ezekiel Elliott, somebody off the bench, somebody off your grandma's couch. I don't know. Anybody that's going to be a starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys this week, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan against the Eagles. Dak Prescott's hurt. Maybe the Eagles try and stack that box a little bit. Say, hey, I want Cooper Rush to beat us, and well, if that's the case, then no, it doesn't matter what run. You could probably go get anybody right now, and they wouldn't do anything. So I'm staying away from any and all Cowboy running backs. And I know that's not one, but hey, I don't know who the starting running back is because Zeke got benched last week. I know this one guy named Rico. I don't know. But, you just never know. I thought Deuce Vaughn might have been something. He hasn't done anything. So I'm staying away from all of them, guys. All Cowboy running backs. You just put them on your bench. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'll do one better, okay? Why don't you just save your guys the time and the hassle, and just any Cowboy running back, just go ahead and drop them off of your team. You don't even need them because not starting somebody would probably be better than starting any of them. All right? So, no Cowboy running backs. All right, a receiver I really like this week, Drake London at New Orleans. Favorable matchup. Saints don't have. I don't know who the Saints corners are anymore. I know it. Adebo's hurt and Lattimore's not there anymore. So I don't know who the secondary is for the Saints. And Drake London, he's gonna have. I look for him to have himself a game. So I like Drake London. Well, I said it on yesterday to start yesterday's show. D Hop is back. All right, D Hop is back, y'all, and I like him this week. At home versus Denver. Yeah, go ahead and sign me up for that because, I know he's probably going to be going against Patrick Surtain. But last I checked, D Hop is still D Hop with Patrick Mahomes. I really like him at home this week. And if you started him last week, he did good. So I'm gonna ride that wave and stick with Hopkins this week. Another receiver I like, well, it's kind of a pair. I like Garrett Wilson and or Devontae Adams. Things seems to be clicking in New York. They got Devontae Adams involved, Garrett Wilson. I feel like Garrett Wilson's gonna get his. But I kind of do like Devontae Adams as well. I don't know much about. I don't know. I mean, I know Cardinals have Buda Baker, but I mean, other than that, I don't know their secondary too well. But it doesn't matter. I like them both. I like them both. And if you got Garrett Wilson, start him. If you got Devontae Adams, start him. You really just want to double down, start them both if you have both. So now some receivers I don't like. I don't like Tank Dell at Detroit or versus Detroit. Sorry. I don't like Tank Dell because this Houston offense has kind of been up and down, and some weeks they rely on the run, some weeks they rely on the pass. Well, Nico Collins might be back. Even so, I mean, maybe Detroit tries to, shut Tank Dell down because they don't have really any other receivers outside of Nico Collins now that Stephon Diggs is hurt. So I don't like Tank Dell versus Detroit, and I'm going to go ahead and double down. I don't like Jameson Williams at Houston. There's just a lot of mouths to feed in Detroit. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sonic and Knuckles, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Jared Goff catching touchdown passes. So even with him back, Jameson Williams has always kind of been that ultimate boomer bust because he's not much of a route runner. Where he gets hit is over the top. So if he catches one and takes it to the house, I mean, obviously, boom. But I mean, he tends to have more busts, so I just don't like him this week. I don't like him. Well, I had this list before I heard the news that Keon Coleman may not play, but I don't like Amari Cooper. I don't like Amari Cooper this week. Maybe that changes a little bit with Keon Coleman out, but I don't like him this week. I'm probably gonna stay away from him. So I don't like Amari Cooper, guys. Sorry. If you got him, hopefully you got a better option. But all right, a tight end I like. A tight end I really like though. Huh? Here we go. Same team. I like Dalton Kincaid. He has a plus matchup this week versus the Colts. I really like Kincaid, and if Keon Coleman can't go, look for Josh Allen to find Mr. Kincaid early and often. So, and I mean, don't forget James Cook out of the backfield. But Dalton Kincaid, I like him. Start him with confidence. Another tight end I like is Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram versus Minnesota. I like that. No Christian Kirk. Now that that they need a red zone threat, Evan Ingram has kind of been that red zone threat for him. So, I think I could start Evan Ingram with some confidence. Well, guys, the third tight end shouldn't even be on this list because I mean it's kind of a no-brainer. But I went ahead and put him on there anyway in case somebody's sleeping under a rock or has been under a rock for the past 10 weeks. And that's Cade Otton. Cade Otton has emerged as a good tight end option. And no Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans. Mike Evans returns maybe in a couple of weeks, but no Mike Evans. Look for Cade Otton to, I mean, who's Baker going to throw to? He's got to throw it to somebody. And it is Cade Otton. Now, they are taking on the 49ers. So, but even so, I wouldn't care if it was versus the best team in the league versus tight ends. I would still start Mr. Cade Otton. Tight end I don't like. First one up is Cole Kmet. We talked about the Bears. DeAndre Swift. Well, there's a lot of mouths to feed. And, he doesn't have a very good matchup. I know Buda Baker tends to play more like a nickel corner safety area. So he kind of plays more like linebacker than he does safety. And I just look for him to be able to kind of shut down Cole Kmet. I don't like Pat Freiermuth. It's nothing against him. It's just he doesn't have a favorable matchup. Washington tends to be a little bit better versus tight ends. Look what they did to Cole Kmet a couple weeks back. So I don't like Mr. Pat here, Mr. Fryermuth. Sorry, it's nothing against you. Also, Pittsburgh's got a new weapon, so we can talk about that here in a little bit. So I don't like old Pat in Pittsburgh. And the last one is Dalton Schultz, tight end for the Houston Texans. Nico Collins is coming back. I expect him to probably get involved early. And from what I remember, Detroit kind of handles tight ends pretty well. So I don't like Dalton Schultz this week. I don't like him. All right, now time for my boom or bust players. These guys could either have a really good game or they could put up a stinker. And the first one up is Daniel Jones in Germany versus Carolina. Maybe the game gets maybe the Giants get out to an early lead and they just lean on that run game. Maybe it's a shootout and Daniel Jones has to stiff arm off of two defenders and run for a touchdown. So the fact that they're going against Carolina, I mean, normally it's a start of the week, but for Daniel Jones, he falls in the boom or bust. People may think I'm crazy. Justin Herbert falls in the boom or bust because Jim Harbaugh likes to run the ball. When you run the ball, you don't have to pass as much. Now, on the flip side, that could really set up, Quentin Johnson over the top. So Justin Herbert could have a really good game where he puts up, 25, 30 points. Or Justin Herbert could have a game where he puts up like 10. So honestly, he's probably my ultimate boom or bust player this week. Like I said, it depends on how well Tennessee plays, and so yeah, kind of temper those expectations for Justin Herbert. Next up, the running back, Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt has been great since returning back to Kansas City. So I don't know. It's just it has one of those makings like Denver could try and stop Kareem Hunt, which is going to set up the passes. I think I would have Cortland Sutton the rest of the season over Amari Cooper. Najee Harris at Washington is a boomer bust for me. Pittsburgh could be trying to, get the run game going, keep Washington's offense off the field. He could, and then it could also turn into split carries with Jaylen Warren. So Najee Harris is a boomer bust for me this week. My wide receiver boomer bust is Devonta Smith against the Cowboys. It's a little hard to predict who's going to get it because, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts. It's really hard to tell who's going to get a touchdown, who's not going to get a touchdown. I don't know. Maybe everybody has touchdowns. Maybe even backup center catches a touchdown in this one. They're going against the Cowboys, so anything's possible. Anything's possible. My next wide receiver, that boomer bust is Xavier Leggett. Legit. However you pronounce it. Heard it both ways. Another one from that Germany game. Giants defense isn't great. But at the same time, he's like their only option now. No Dante Johnson. So I don't know. It could get no Jonathan Mingo. Cowboys traded for him yesterday. So he could have a game. He could easily have 15, 20, 22 points, or he could put up like 2. So Just kind of, kind of keep that in mind. TJ Hawkinson at the tight end spot. He's back, but they're probably going to ease him in. Don't want to work him too hard. But I mean, at the same time, Sam Darnold could just be like boom, 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 and get in rhythm with him early, and he could have a game. The next one is Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, the Swiss Army knife for the New Orleans Saints. He play quarterback, running back, tight end. He tends to be listed as a QB slash tight end, so I put him in the tight end spot. He's kind of another one of those ultimate boomer busts because he can do so much. He is going to run the ball. He is going to catch the ball. He might even throw a pass or two. But we still don't know what Darren Rizzi wants to do, like his vision going forward. So I don't know. He's kind of like my boomer bust, my ultimate boomer bust. So just keep that in mind, guys. And when I give you these lists, I avoid picking the obvious. Like no one's benching Lamar Jackson tomorrow night. No one's benching Joe Burrow. Okay. No one would probably bench Jalen Hurts. So when I give you this list, I try to kind of go down a little deeper and give you, some more not so obvious start situms, players I like, don't like. That way, it's not just the obvious, like, oh, well, I like Lamar Jackson. Well, I like Lamar Jackson every week, okay? It doesn't matter the matchup. So, those are my players I like and I don't like. Yesterday was the trade deadline, guys. Yesterday was the NFL trade deadline. And we talked about a few of them. The Lions acquiring Zadarius Smith, from the Browns. Bengals sending Khalil Herbert. Bears sending Khalil Herbert to the Bengals. And then, but here's where and we kind of talked a little bit about it yesterday, but this is another one that I just kind of want to re-talk about today. Because Jerry Jones has lost his mind. Lost his mind, guys. So Jerry said, "Hey, help's on the way, guys. Help is on the way. All right, don't worry. Just help is coming." And then he goes out and gets Jonathan Mingo in a 2025 seventh and gives up a 4th round pick in the 2025 draft. He gave up a 4th round pick for a receiver that has not been productive, for a receiver that has struggled to be on the field due to injuries. But more importantly, you gave up a draft pick. 4th round, okay, might not be an everyday starter, but it's definitely going to be a player in the league. Look at Puka last year. He was a 5th round pick. So for a team that doesn't have salary cap, I can understand the move a little bit because, Cowboys don't have a lot of salary. This gives them another pass catching option. But Dak is going on IR. Why not become sellers and get some more draft picks? You could probably get another first for Micah Parsons. You could have got like a 2nd for DeMarcus Lawrence. You're paying Dak and CD all the money. You're gonna have to nail the draft or get veteran deals because you're not going to be able to pay anybody in free agency. So you're gonna have to hit home runs on the draft, and now you just gave up a 4th round pick. I don't know what Jerry's thinking, guys. He is just, I don't know. He's off the marbles. I don't know. He makes that trade, and now Cooper Rush is the quarterback. I don't like this move at all, guys. I didn't like it with Dak. I don't like it now. Is it time? Is it time for Jerry to, I don't know, step down as GM? Maybe hire a GM. Because he's playing owner GM, and it's not working, guys. Jerry Jones is stuck in the 1990s. the 1980s when the Cowboys were winning Super Bowls. And he thinks that we're still in that era, and we're not. We have moved way past it. Way past it. And I don't know, guys. This is looking bad. I feel bad for Cowboy fans. I know there's a couple people that listen to the show. I feel bad for you guys. Anybody that's a Cowboy fan right now, it is rough. It is rough. And um, you know, I was actually texting my cousin, and this morning, and he was like, "Hey, I just don't know. Jerry needs to sell the team." I was like, "Yeah, he needs to do something. He needs to step down as GM. He needs to." But his problem is okay. So he needs to fire Mike McCarthy, but he won't because Jerry Jones is a patient man. Okay, he's a patient man, and he kept Jason Garrett probably 4 years longer than he should. Also, Jerry Jones tends to like the yes, sir, be a yes man, okay? This is why Bill Belichick to the Cowboys people would love it, but Jerry wouldn't go for it because, you know, Bill's going to come in and want control of the team, and that's just not how Jerry operates. So here he goes, and he trades for Jonathan Mingo, gives up a fourth round pick. Kind of a head scratcher. It was definitely. I give him an F. I give him an F. So Jets trade Mike Williams to the Steelers. So that one happened yesterday. This one happened yesterday right as soon as we went off the air, and that was Washington acquiring Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints. Um, it kind of came down to a few teams were interested, and then it kind of really came down to the Chiefs and the Commanders. In the end, the Commanders were willing to pay the Saints what they wanted, and they got Marshawn Lattimore for a third, fourth, and sixth round pick, and a fifth round comes back to Washington. So they got Marshawn Lattimore and a 2025 fifth for a third, fourth, and sixth round pick. So Packers trade Preston Smith to the Steelers. So Steelers were kind of active yesterday, guys. That's Preston Smith is a veteran. I think he's like 31, 32 years old. Packers, he wasn't like a big factor for the Packers. Packers got a little bit of draft capital back. So Rams trade Tre'Davious White to the Ravens. Ravens secondary's kind of been struggling, guys, and this is a move I like. I'm not sure why the Rams did all of a sudden because all of a sudden they're kind of right back in the NFC West division race, but maybe he wasn't being productive. Maybe he wanted a fresh start. But anyway, Ravens got some corner help. 4-time Pro Bowler. So, and then one that I don't know. Maybe it's there for depth. Maybe it's there to try to help bolster the run game for the 49er defense. But Texans trade Khalil Davis. That one, probably worked out for both teams, but I don't know much about. I don't even think I've heard of Khalil Davis if I'm being honest. So those are some of the trades, guys, that happened yesterday. Some of them before the show started, and then those last like 4 or 5 was throughout the day after the show ended yesterday. So we have some big time college matchups this weekend. And speaking of college, last night the college playoff rankings, the very first one of the season. And I'm gonna read you the top 25, and then I'm gonna read you the bracket real quick, and then we'll kind of go over some of it, and then kind of preview maybe a couple of games for this weekend in college. So Oregon's number one, no shock there. They're the best team in the country right now, and they deserve to be number one. Now, in the AP poll, Georgia was ranked second. I said Ohio State should be second. I don't know. Maybe they were listening to the show. We can only hope. Um, Ohio State is two. Georgia's three. I do kind of have a slight problem here. I feel like Miami should be three at least. They are still undefeated. But regards, Georgia's three, Miami's four. Here's another one. Texas is five. Penn State is six. Tennessee is seven. Indiana's just not getting any love. They're at eight. And I really feel like Indiana could be up in that top five. You know, they are undefeated. But so BYU's 9, Notre Dame 10, Bama 11. The cutoff is Boise State at 12. SMU is 13. Texas A&M 14, LSU 15, Ole Miss is 16. 17 goes to Iowa State. 18 is Pitt. 19 is K-State. 20 is Colorado. 21 is Washington State. 22 Louisville. Clemson is 23rd in the college football playoff rankings. Missouri's 24, and Army is 25. So if you want to, get into it real quick, Boise State. Okay, so the four teams have a bye. Oregon, they're sitting on top of the Big Ten. They're the number one seed. They get the bye. Georgia sitting on top of the SEC. They're not undefeated, but they get the bye because that they're expected to win the SEC title. Miami's at 3, sitting on top of the ACC. And BYU is 4, currently sitting on top of the Big 12. So those 4 teams would have a first round bye. Or if it ended right now, they would have a first round bye. Okay, so we have 12 versus 5. Boise State at Ohio State. This is kind of where I have a huge problem because the non-Power 4 school, like the top conference winner, so right now it would be Boise State, automatically gets a spot, but where they're ranked in the rankings is where they're ranked. I feel if the Power 4 schools get the first round bye, I feel that non-Power 4 school should be the 5th seed and get to at least host a playoff game. NCAA doesn't see it that way, guys. So Boise State's number 12 at number 5 Ohio State. Then it would be number 9 Indiana versus number 8 Tennessee, which is weird because Indiana is 8. Oh, okay. Tennessee is still ahead of them. Okay, so 9 Indiana at 8 Tennessee. The winner of Boise State Ohio State would go on to take on BYU, while the winner of Indiana Tennessee would go on to take on Oregon. So now we have 11 versus 6 matchup. Number 11 Bama at number 6 Texas, and the winner of that would go to take on Miami in one of the big bowl games. Then we have number 10 Notre Dame at number 7 Penn State, and the winner of that would go on to take on Georgia. So that is the first rankings. It is every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central. And I don't have a problem with number 1, but I kind of have a problem with the 2 through 12. I kind of have a problem with, but that's a story for another day. We can deep dive into that a little bit more, maybe tomorrow, Friday, stuff like that. Every Tuesday, a new ranking will come out. And I can only hope that, I don't know, I would love nothing more than to see Boise State just keep climbing. I would love to see Army climb. Um, honestly, I kind of hope Bama I hope LSU destroys Bama this week and Ole Miss takes care of Georgia. Maybe Ole Miss can sneak in there. I think that would be a good playoff team. So we have a few games that we can go over. A lot of really good matchups this week. A lot of SEC matchups this week. And I think I'm going to go over the Big 12 first. The Big 12 matchup. We got Colorado versus Texas Tech, guys. Whew. This one could be a good one. This one could be a good one. So Texas Tech is scoring 36.4 points per game to Colorado's 31.4 points per game. Texas Tech has 40 total touchdowns to Colorado's 32 touchdowns. Colorado has 323.9 yard passing per game to Texas Tech's 282.4 passing yards per game. Yards per pass, Colorado has 8.5 to Texas Tech 6.9. 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions for Colorado. 22 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions for Texas Tech. Rushing, this is where it gets interesting, guys. This is where it gets interesting. Texas Tech is averaging 164.4 yards per game rushing. Colorado is only averaging 80.6. 2.8 yards per carry. That is not good. Colorado does not run the ball very well. Meanwhile, Texas Tech is averaging 4.6 yards a carry, and that's great because you're getting 4 yards a carry, almost 5 yards a carry. I mean, that means you're moving the chains and you're picking up those first downs. So, Texas Tech has 16 rushing touchdowns as a team to 10 rushing touchdowns for Colorado. Total yards per game, Texas Tech has a slight edge, 446.9 per game to 404.5 from Colorado. This has all the makings of a shootout, guys. A Big 12 shootout, Colorado, Texas Tech. Both teams like to air it out. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter will look to get things going early. Get that high-powered attack going. Colorado struggles running the ball, though. As I just said, the 2.8 yards a carry, that's not going to cut it. You're not getting 3 yards a carry I can handle. Because that means, if you're 3.5, 4, that, 3 yards a carry, that's still 1 yard short. You go for it, get it, and no big deal. But 2.8, that becomes a little tricky, guys. So, and then let's see. Colorado struggles to running the ball. Yep. And then that could hurt them. That could hurt them. They can't get that run game going. They can't keep Texas Tech offense off the field. This might be a game where Texas Tech decides to lean on that run. Taj Brooks. They might lean on Taj Brooks early and often. And if they do that, I like their chances at winning this game because, run the ball, control the clock, keep the other offense off the field. Taj Brooks has over 1,000 yards rushing. That's pretty impressive. So, Texas Tech has historically been a more air raid team, but maybe they run the ball, control the clock, keep Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter at wide receiver off the field. Travis Hunter does play corner, but I don't know, guys. This is actually one of the games I'm excited for. Colorado has been doing good. Texas Tech, just beat Iowa State at Iowa State last week. So, like I said, this has all the makings of a shootout. This has all the makings of a shootout. So, um, it's a Big 12 matchup, guys. Big 12 matchup. So we don't talk a whole lot about Big 12 on this show. Honestly, we probably don't talk about them enough, and that's mainly because most of the teams, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, they've all came from the Big 12 to the SEC. And the SEC has, they're stacked. Bama, Georgia, Texas, Missouri, Ole Miss, LSU, Arkansas. They're just a stacked conference. So there's always a lot to talk about with the SEC. I actually probably have 4 or 5 games from the SEC that I could literally talk about at any given time. At any given moment, I could talk about them. I think I want to go to the last call of the day, which is going to be Bama and Ole Miss. Good old SEC matchup. A lot on the line here, guys. A lot is on the line for this one. It is Bama versus LSU, and the loser could be eliminated completely from the playoffs. So it's a big matchup. Big SEC matchup right here. The loser of this game is most likely eliminated from the college playoffs. This is a home game for LSU, though. It is a home game for the Tigers. So that kind of bodes well for them. Let's see how they're doing stat wise this year. Okay. So LSU is averaging 32.8 points a game, 32 total touchdowns. They are averaging 332.8 passing yards a game, 7.8 per pass attempt, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Running the ball, 115.3 for a 4.2 average, 12 rushing touchdowns. Okay. Okay, so they're doing pretty good. Now let's see what Bama does. Let's see what's old Bama got here. So Bama's averaging they're averaging, let's see, 37.6 points per game, 41 total touchdowns. They're averaging 254.1 yards passing per game, 9.4 per attempt, 13 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Rushing, they're averaging 177.6, 5.0 yards per rush with 28 rushing touchdowns. So it's a lot of offense here. It's going to be a lot of offense. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens. Real interesting to see. Like I said, it's a home game for LSU. LSU at home in night games, I believe, are 13-0 under Brian Kelly. So Bama is 3-2 in their last 5. Their last game they had was a blowout win against Missouri. LSU has won 4 of their last 5. In their last game, they got pushed around by Texas A&M. So kind of, I don't know, maybe they're trending different directions here. Both Bama and LSU are 6-2 on the season. This is a night game, which LSU does really well on. LSU will need Garrett Nussmeier to protect the ball and get Kyron Lacey involved early. Bama will look to get freshman superstar Ryan Williams going. I think Bama needs to get a run game going early. They obviously like to run the ball, 5 yards a carry. I think LSU needs to develop a run game. They weren't doing as good, but if this is going to come down to which quarterback makes the least amount of mistakes, which QB doesn't throw interceptions, doesn't take sacks in crucial situations. If you can just scramble and throw it away versus taking a sack, because ultimately this could come down to a field goal. This could come down to, and if you take a sack, get out of field goal range. I mean, that could really, right there, that could have cost you the game. So, Bama, LSU, prime time, Saturday night, guys. Whew, it doesn't get any better than that. SEC matchup. I know I'm watching this one. I know I'm watching this one. But I mean, I will be watching a lot of other ones. Something that we might talk about on tomorrow's show is Georgia versus Ole Miss, Oklahoma versus Missouri, renewing that Big 12 rivalry. It's now in the SEC. Maybe a little Florida versus Texas, maybe a little South Carolina versus Vandy. So we have a lot. Of course, we'll probably be previewing Thursday night football as well, and making our college picks tomorrow. So it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. And then Friday, we make our NFL picks and kind of go over Thursday night football. Thursday night football, NFL. That's a good one. It's a good one. Bengals, Ravens, and we're gonna talk about that tomorrow. Well, guys, that's all the time we have for today. I wanted to say thank you for tuning in and listening, whether it's your first time or you're a returning listener. We could not do this without you. If you're not following, you can follow on YouTube, youtube.com/answerthecall, COLL. Make sure you tap on that bell. You'll always get notified. Also, it'll be posted on Spotify. You can follow in the podcast section, Answer the Call, COLL. Tap on that bell. Never miss an episode, guys. You don't want to miss an episode of your new favorite football podcast.